I find that commercial humorous. I love the Cowboys. Oh, sorry. But I've been saying for a while that one of these days I was going to do a series of messages on jet.com about just what that deals with. It's talking about something that's mind-blowing. And like I said, I have up there, I have a mind-blowing God. So over the next little while, we're going to go on an adventure to discover some things about our mind-blowing God. So I want you to buckle up. Because I'm gonna hopefully get you to maybe look at some things, hopefully a little differently. So as we start, what does the Bible have to say about the awesomeness, about the mind-blowingness of God? I'm just going to read you a few portions of Scripture here, and then I'm going to dive into something this morning. I'll probably use these portions of Scripture sort of to start this out every single week. But again, just listen to what it says. In Isaiah chapter 40, verses 25 and 26, it says this: "To whom will you compare me? Who is my equal? Ask the Holy One." Who's asking that? God is. "To whom will you compare me, and who is my equal? Ask the Holy One. Look up into the heavens. Who created all the stars? He brings them out like an army, one after another, calling each by its name. Because of His great power and incomparable strength, not a single one is missing." He begins to tell us something about how awesome God is there. And in Psalms chapter 90, verse 2 and verse 4, we read this: "Before the mountains were born, before you gave birth to the earth and the world, from beginning to end, you are God." And verse 4 said, "For you 1,000 years are as a passing day, as brief as a few night hours." Again, as we dive into this thought process of a mind-blowing God, I want to truly have you exercise your brain in thinking about what the Bible really says about God. Because when we really think about it, too many times when we read things in the Bible, we just sort of read them and keep on going. So many times we don't stop to really think about what it is saying. And when you really take time to pause and really look at what was being said, honestly, it should literally blow your mind away. You should have a jet.com moment. It should just be, and you just are going, wow, what? Wow. And over the next little while, I want to look at some of these things that many, if you've been in church any amount of time, you may have just read something, and maybe, sometimes familiarity sometimes seems to take away awesomeness. Who here has ever had an opportunity to get close to maybe a famous musician that you like, or a famous actor that you like, or maybe a famous sports figure? I mean, when Josh was little, in sports, he's not a sports fan, but there's one sports character I know he likes. He still likes this person to this day, even though he doesn't play sports anymore. And it's Cal Ripken. And when he was young, we got a chance to take him to, the week before he broke his record, we got a chance to take him to the game at Memorial Stadium, not Memorial Stadium, at Camden Yards for him to be at that game. But Josh is not a sports guy at all, but he likes Cal Ripken. And then there are different sports, there's certain people, if we get a chance to be around, think about it. If you've ever had that opportunity and all of a sudden they walk by or maybe said something to you, how do you think you'd respond? How do you think you would act? Think about someone, picture someone in your mind right now, whether it's a sports figure, whether it's an actor, whether it's a musician. If they stopped and said, "Hey Chris, how you doing, man?" You'd probably say, "You talking to me? Are you talking to me?" Am I right? Can we go sit down and chat somewhere? Oh yeah, we can. Because all of a sudden, but if all of a sudden you had the opportunity to hang around that person a lot, would your reactions later on be the same that they were in the beginning? Would you still be saying, Yeah, man, I love it. It's probably, okay, all right, cool. Not like it's new to me, you know, okay, all right, no problem. And you've been in church an amount of time, many times, unfortunately, get that place with the Word of God. Hopefully, if you're a new believer, when you pick up the Bible, you experience these jet.com moments where you're like, what? What you, really? 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 You know? You're just like, no way. So I want to take you sort of down those no way thoughts today. And over the next little while, to sort of get you to thinking about the mind-blowing awesomeness of who God is. Understand about a mind-blowing God. That's who God is. Here's the thing. If God isn't blowing your mind, it's not because of Him. It's because of you. It's because you've allowed yourself to become too comfortable in this relationship. Again, and there's nothing wrong with a comfortable relationship, so don't misunderstand me. But we need to understand He wants more than you to just be comfortable with you. He's still, to this day, no matter how long you've been serving, He wants to blow your mind. And I think this is why He released me now to go ahead and go this way and to share this with you and try to make you rethink about some things. I sort of had a funny feeling it was going to be coming because Tuesday nights sort of begin to almost, if you're any type of Bible studies with me, something like that, you start to sort of begin to see how God begins to sort of pump things into my heart, because they begin to sort of come out sometimes as we talked about certain things. And one of the things we were talking about on the Tuesday night is going to come out later on in this series of messages, but I want to deal with this today. Hopefully it won't be real long, because it's going to be, if you've been in church any amount of time, this is going to be an account that's very familiar to you. Even if you haven't, you've probably heard about it somehow in some way, whether you believe it to be true or not. We're just going to look at the Bible's account of this. And everything we talked about, the scripture verses we read so far, have you noticed everything it's sort of talking about? It's talking about creation. It's talking about, so I figure if we want to get to the start of being a mind-blowing God, let's start where it all began, where the Bible introduces to this one who is declared as being God. So let's read what it says. And as we read it, I really want us to stop and pause and really think about what the Word of God is saying when it says it. Here's what we read. So if we go to the very first of the Bible, it's found where? Genesis. Genesis chapter 1. And it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. See, the word here tells us, in the very beginning, what did God do? God created. That means bring into existence. In other words, if I was, if I was to tell you to create something, how would we go about doing it? How would we go about creating something? We would go get some stuff and make. In other words, if I said, I'm trying to watch this, but I'm still talking about what I like anyway. I like carrot cake. So if you're a baker in here, well, Jordan's my baker at home, say, Jordan, I want you to create for me a carrot cake. She would go and get whatever ingredients were needed to make a carrot cake. But when we read there that God, in the beginning, God created. In the beginning, it was just Him. There was absolutely nothing here before Him. And when you really begin to think about that concept just for a moment, it's pretty mind-boggling. The reason why is because everything we know has a beginning. And in fact, everything we know has a what? An ending. Because as we know, anybody who's ever been in existence, they were born one day, and we always celebrate their birth on their birthday. And the older we get, the more people we know who have a death day. So everything we know, everything we understand, has a beginning and has an end. And when we begin to think about the concept that before there was anything, the world as we know it, God has always been. And that is really, it's a mind-boggling concept. But when it was just God one day, He just decided, you know what? I'm going to make things. And He began to make something out of nothing. There wasn't anything there, and He just literally began to make, because it says what? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And in other words, He put the stuff in place. So, again, I'm going to get ready to go into creation here. I just want you to begin to think about this. Really think about this. Let's continue on and read what it says. In verse 3 it says, then God said. How many like to have this power? You know, in our mentality, in our concept, the way we try to do this, you know, we all heard of, like, you know, Aladdin and the genie. You know, we can sit there, you know, what do? You rub. Genie comes out. Of course, when I think of that, I think of the genie in the cartoon Aladdin. 10,000 years can give you such a cake to the neck. You know, with Robin Williams the same. And all of a sudden you ask, and or you think of I Dream of Jeannie, you know, all those things. It seems like out of nothing, boom, it appears. But God is more than a genie. He actually did. He created everything we see. I can't say He didn't create it out of nothing. He created it out of Him. Because He is the beginning and the ending of everything. He is the source of everything. So God, in being God, He looked into His being and He began to let it flow out of who He was to let this stuff be here. And then it says that God said, let there be light, and there was light. He just spoke and it happened. I mean, I'm just really just stop and think about that. I mean, right now we have lights in here. I told Wanda if I had the ability, what I would have done if I had the ability, I would have completely have blacked out the sanctuary. And I would say, turn the lights off, guys. Turn everything off. And I'm saying, okay, who in here? Somebody say, let there be light. Let's see what happens. What would happen if you said, let there be light? Unless I had the guys back there time to say, flip the switch. You'd still be in darkness. Fact is, when we took the Kid Life kids down to Skyline Caverns 2 weeks ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and they took us down to the caverns. We got to a place where we got down there, and he says, I'm going to show you what absolute darkness looks like. So when I said this, guys, make sure your cell phones are off because you're going to see like, I said, make sure nothing comes on. He flipped the switch, and it was black. It was dark. And you're looking, I mean, you could do this, and there's nothing to see. I mean, you know, if you're at home at nighttime, you can do this kind of stuff, still see, you know, stuff like that. But this was absolute darkness. And God said, let there be light. And all of a sudden, I want you to understand something. It exploded forth. As Louis Giegler put it, light came rushing out of God, out of His mouth, at the speed of light. But I'm not saying that, I think it's 184,000 miles a second. In other words, if you were a flash of light beam that was able to go around the earth, in 1 second, it would encircle the earth, I think it's 7 times in a second. So in other words, if you were to put the light on and say, I'm going to get out of the way for the beam to come back and hit me, by the time you would move, it would probably pass through your body several times. That's fast. Traveling all the way around the world. And when God said there was light, that's how fast things begin to move. He said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And He separated the light from darkness. And He called the light day and the darkness night. And the evening passed and the morning came, marking the first day. But He didn't stop. It says, then God said, Let there be space between the waters to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth. And that is what happened. Like I said, God said, and that's what happened. God said, and that's what happened. God said, and that's what happened. Then God made space to separate the waters from the earth, and the waters from the heavens, and God called the space sky, and the evening passed, and the morning came, marking the second day. I mean, again, just begin to think about all the elements in the world just beginning to move when he just says, do this, do that, do this, do that, and all of a sudden, they just begin to obey his command. I mean, it's just, it's awesome and mind-blowing. Then it says, then God, in verses 9 through 13, it says, then God said, let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place so dry ground may appear. And that is what happened. Talking about, sometimes people say, I'd like to have been there at the beginning to see this. No, you wouldn't. Because, and I should say, unless you were able to stay beside God and with God the entire time. Because if you would have been here on the earth, can you talk about an earthquake hitting San Francisco in certain areas? Can you imagine when God said, let this shift from this place to that place, and the way it moved and it happened, just the amount of earthquake that was going on, the amount of movement that was going on, and all of this just happened at the very utterance of his word. And God called the dry ground land and the waters seas, and God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seed-bearing plant and trees that grow, fruit-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came. And that is what happened. I can just imagine whether God allowed it to happen over a little bit of time, all of a sudden, there's a redwood. Whatever. We know he allows things to grow. But again, life began to come forth. It happens in the land, produce vegetation, all sorts of seed-bearing plants and trees. With seed-bearing fruit, these seeds produce plants and trees of the same kind. And God saw that it was good, and the evening passed, and the morning came, marking the third day. So in 3 days, man, he did an awful lot. But he wasn't through. And verse 14 tells us, then God said, that lights appeared in the sky to separate the day from the night, and let there be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. See, this is when God was going to begin to speak the stars into existence. Let these lights in the sky shine down on the earth, and that is what happened. And God is still letting this stuff, because as science looks up and astronomers look up, and the Hubble telescope, the ones that are farther, and they look deeper years, they look into what they call the star-making areas. Stars are still being formed. The thing is, but what we're seeing in those telescopes, according to science, is stuff we're seeing that happened still a long, long, long time ago. But God spoke it into existence in the beginning. We're just starting to just see it a little bit. And it said, and God made 2 great lights, one a larger one to govern the day, and a smaller one to govern the night. So he also made the stars, and God set these lights in the sky to light the earth, and to govern the day and the night, and to separate the light from darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the evening passed, and the morning came, marking the 4th day. See, when I think about this, just really just been thinking about this, God just speaking and it happening. It's an awesome concept and a mind-blowing thing. Then it continues, as and God said, let the waters swarm with fish and other life, and let the skies be filled with birds of every kind. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that scurries and swarms in the water, and every sort of bird, and each producing offspring of the same kind. And God saw it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Let the fish fill the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And the evening passed, and the morning came, marking the 5th day. And here's what I want you to understand. You know how people try to say, that evolution tries to say that evolution contradicts what God did. I find it funny that a book that was written a long time ago describes creation happening in the way that, honestly, when you think about it, that evolution didn't happen. After stuff was formed on this earth, what did they say came first? Life and what? Where does science say that life began on the earth? Where? In the waters. So life began in the waters, and that birds and reptiles, fish and birds and reptiles are the oldest living creatures on this planet. That's what science teaches. Isn't it funny how a book that was written a long time ago, you think Charles Darwin got this on his own? Before Charles Darwin had the theory of evolution, God already said these things were first. And what the Bible places in order how stuff comes, science isn't original. It's copying off the Bible. The way it said that things came about, it's following the copy of the Bible. Fish and birds. And then it says after that, they came upon land. Well, let's see. Okay, so we see here, God created fish and birds. And those are the first living things that God put on the earth, besides plants. Marking the fifth day. And then it goes on to say in verses 24 and 25, it says, Then God said, Let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and wild animals. And that's what happened. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock, and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind, and God saw that it was good. See, if anybody says, well, the Bible's now just copying evolution. No. We know the Bible's older than the theory of evolution. And the order that God puts in place, it's funny that science follows the order that the Bible put in place. Oh, but the Bible's not real. Some awful smart guys that did a long time ago, huh? The Bible's not real. It's not true. Of course, if you bring this out, they'll have something to say. Well, they just sort of understood evolution back then, and they were writing it down this way that a supernatural power did it. Shut up. Because they didn't understand the concepts of what was going on as we do today. Yeah, there's a lot of things understood that we don't understand today. Like I told you before, how in the world, how the Egyptians could build the pyramids on sand that we can't do today. That structure, we can't do what they did. But God, well, we're talking about God did this. He says He did this stuff. God said it, and it happened. So we see that, again, even as with science says, these elements came into play, they formed together, then life began in the sea, and the birds in the air, and then all of a sudden it came on land. I love it that, I'm not really, so you see that, and then all of a sudden, you see this here, and then even science itself says, what's the youngest species that science says there is? What's the youngest species on the planet that science says there is? Who? Man, human. And isn't it funny that the last thing God created in the Bible, what was it? Human. Then God said, Let us make human beings in our image, to be like us. They will reign over the fish of the sea, over the birds in the sky, over the livestock, and over all the wild animals on the earth, and all the small animals that scurry on the ground. So God created human beings in His own image. In the image of God, He created them, male and female, He created them. Now, I need a volunteer. Who likes to play in the sand? All right, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. Okay, let's see if we can do this here. What I have up here, I have some sand here, I have some water here, I have some things. On this tray, I would like for you to make it, either some of you sand castles, So wet some sand. I'll give you some mold here, some touch you can use, and so we don't have to get all that wet. But I want you to create some wet sand and form an image for me. Make something in that tray for us. All right? So I got spoons so you can get sand, or a cup where you can scoop sand out, however you want to do it with that, and then you open up, just, when we put water and sand, it sort of does make it a little bit more where you can sort of make it pliable. You want to watch the amount of water, put it in a sand suit. And apply. You got a spoon there, and I put some stir. That's it. You might need a little bit more water than that. You can add more sand if you need to. Stir it up.
Which year is smokers?
Maybe like a stick figure or something. Yeah, stick figure. Give it a head, give it a body, some arms. I'm gonna show you everybody a second. When she gets it done. We'll watch, we'll see, we'll look at her handiwork. You can make it as big as low as you want, it's fine. You can make it as big as low as you want, it's fine. I can see now that this is going to be a George Lopez stick figure. Everybody talks to George Lopez. They always seem to have a big head. Big head George Lopez. So literally, the Bible says that God, I'll let you do that before when you're done, let me know. Okay? That God formed man, He created man. He created man in His likeness. See, a lot of that also lets us know that, notice what it says, the reason why man dominates the earth is because God gives the authority to dominate the earth. We are His, we're to represent Him. It's not that we're supposed to be the ruler, the way we can wipe stuff out if we want to, but it's when we're supposed to take care of stuff as equal. We're supposed to take on sort of, when He creates to take care of this world, to be His stead, to be His representative in this world. Because He created us in His image. He Himself wasn't reigning here. Even though God reigns over everything, He set us in place, in position under His name, and under His authority where we can take care of this stuff. I'm going to see how she's, I see, okay, I see some legs. I guess now we just need to see some arms. Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead. Just think about it. You know what, and again, right now, I was going to say, she's being God for us. She's forming man from the sand. Okay, so we're gonna see her handiwork of how she's created man in her image, our image. Okay, and I'll show you here in a second. All right. You can shake your head if you need to. Everybody, she made a man for us. Okay? She made a man. Right? So she took her hands, and she formed a man-like something. Shake. Don't go anybody out of the Okay? She created a man for us. And it said, God said, let us make human beings in our image, and to be like us, to reign over the fish of the sea, and the birds in the sky, and the air. And God created human beings in His own image, and the image God created them. Now, look, we created them. Now, but if we jump to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, here's what we read. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground, which He did. All right, ready? Now, I want you to do what God did. Here we go. And He breathed the breath of life into man's nostrils, and man became a living person. So let's see if you can be God and breathe on it and make it a living soul. It's not moving. Try. Maybe you didn't blow on it. Maybe that was too hard. She just asphyxiated him before he even came alive. All right, let me say that. Thank you. As much as you try it. as much as she would, your hands down. As much as she would want to try to breathe on this and make it alive, back there I say, well, breathe on it, make it alive, come on. Blow up, make it alive. Anybody here have skanky breath?
I thought you're trying to give it life and take it away.
And if you admit to it, you're a braver person than I am.
Go ahead, Jeff.
But I did that. I did that for a reason. Like when I was talking about when God said, let there be light. We as mankind, we invented something called the clapper. Before they came out with smartphones and smart outlets. That was the first smart outlet. Clap on, the clapper. You know, so we could be lying in bed, and all of a sudden we're waking up. It starts. I can see. Let there be light. Yeah. But again, we were using materials that were already there. Even with our smartphones, we can take stuff. Now, I mean, if you have the right type of stuff in your home, you have a smart home, you can lock the doors from your smartphone. You can adjust your air conditioning. My smartphone, I have the ability, if I want to put the car in my washer and dryer at home, I can turn it on and turn it off. From my phone, away from home, I can say, all right, washer turn on, and dryer turn on, so it's ready when I get home, so I don't have to worry about being wrinkled. You know, I know I'm getting home, so here, turn on this one. I mean, it's amazing some of the options that you can see. Yeah. No, it's not a joke. That's the type of technology they're coming out with. And because of where we're thinking, wow. God took dust. He took stuff just like sand and began to shape it. Made it to a form that, I say also, Kayla, this would be one of the smallest midgets I've ever been in. This is one of those little creatures you see in a horror movie from out the station like, but when you think about it, that God took something like this and turned it into something like this. Something like this. God throws something on me, right? Can you say He's an awesome God? Because as much as we try, as much as we would like, there's no end what we can do. Just taking a little bit of something, forming it, and turning to living, breathing, thinking, aware being. There's a many times we read this, and we really forget how awesome it's talking about what it is. And He literally made us in His image, and He breathed in us and gave us the breath of life. And says, a man became a living person. Kayla, thank you so much for doing that. But God is a mind-blowing God. And seeing at the end of the creation story, this is what we read, verses 28 through 31. It says, and God blessed them and said. So again, I want you to say, before we get into this, every time God spoke, what happened? Every time He spoke, what happened? Exactly what He wanted. All right? Every time He spoke, Exactly what he wanted to happen, happened. God said, let there be light, and what? That's exactly what happened. It happened. God said, let this happen. What happened? That's what happened. So understand that when you get ready to read this. God is now ready to speak again. And so then God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and govern it, reign over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. And God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruits and trees for your food. And I have given you every green plant as food for all the wild animals and birds in the sky and small fish that scurry along the ground, everything that has life. And that is what happened. And God looked over what he had made, and he saw that it was very good. And the evening passed, and the morning came, marking the sixth day. And I just said that to say this. Here's the thing. If you are in this place today, if you are living today, you are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are not unloved. You are not unwanted. I don't care what your earthly family, mom and dad may have done and how they may have treated you. You are not an accident. You have been ordained by the God of heaven, the God who created all this stuff. He has ordained you, created you, and he wants to he has called a blessing on you. But the thing is, you must be willing to look at him as being the mind-blowing God he is, and think that what he said he would do in your life, that he would do. So like I said, when you really sit back and think about it, this is some really mind-blowing and mind-stretching stuff, and you think that when God just spoke, it happened. When God just took his hands and formed something like that, and also made it into what we are. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-blowing. And I have it under comment before I get to the closing, is this. If you're a follower of Jesus, this is the kind of God you serve and follow. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, this is the kind of God that is offering you a personal relationship with himself through his Son. See, as that video showed at the beginning of the service, it's not about religion. I'm not talking about religion today. I'm talking about a relationship. I'm talking about a relationship with the God of the universe who did all of this stuff that we're talking about today. All this magnificent. Why would a God this awesome that could do all this, why would he want a relationship with us? Because he made us in his image, because he wanted to commune with us. He wanted to have a relationship with us. He wanted to fellowship with us. And later on sometime I'll get into the sin problem, but it's not today. But I want you to know that this awesome God desires to have a relationship with you. I'm going to close out this morning. I'm going to close out with what we began with. And I want you to really listen to what it says. We began with Isaiah chapter 4. I'm going to read a little bit further into that chapter. But I'm going to start with what we read. It says, To whom will you compare me? Who is my equal? Asked the Holy One. Okay. Kayla came up. She failed. She couldn't be like him. She couldn't create life. In fact, it's about probably telling you to speak that light, that there's, say, now let it be dark. Now, if also got dark outside, you all freak out. I freak out too. But to whom will you compare me? Who is my equal? Asked the Holy One. Look up into the heavens. Who created all the stars? He brings them out like an army, one after another, calling each by its name. Because of his great power and incomparable strength. Not a single one is missing. Now listen what it says in verse 27. O Jacob, how can you say the Lord doesn't see your troubles? O Israel, how can you say God ignores your rights? Have you not heard? Have you never understood that the Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth? He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depths of his understanding. Now listen, he gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless. Even youths become weak and tired, and young men will fall in exhaustion. But listen to what verse 31 says. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. But the thing is, I like how the King James actually puts the first part of verse 21. And it says, but they that wait upon the Lord. See, that wait there, what it says there is not talking about it sitting down and just, it's not talking about just sitting down, crossing legs, okay, God, here we go. This is what wait in that verse means. It means to bind together as perhaps by twisting. To collect figuratively, to expect, to gather together, to look patiently, to tarry, to wait for, or wait upon, or wait on. And the thing is, when I think about this word wait and how it describes the definition in the actual dictionary of the Bible, the first part of this definition sparks my mind to visualize someone grabbing a hold of something and not letting go. As when, think about it. You as an adult may have experience as when a child, when all of a sudden if you're going to leave and they don't want you to leave, what they did, they'll run up, wrap their arms around your legs, and maybe wrap their legs around you too, and what do? They hold on. Because why? They want to be near you. They want to be with you. And see, and the Bible's saying that we would just run to God that way, grab a hold of Him, grab a hold of Him, just grab a hold of Him and hold on. The Bible says that He will give us new strength. No matter what we're going through, we just grab a hold of Him and trust in Him that way. He'll all of a sudden come in and begin to do a work in our life and begin to move in a way in such a way never before that all of a sudden when we felt like we couldn't go any further on, all of a sudden something will hit us and we'll have strength to go another day, another hour, another second. See, it's not our strength that's doing it, but it's Him that's doing it in us. Because why? We're grabbing a hold of Him. We're trusting Him. See, this is what God said, who can I be compared to? Who is like you? Who in this world can offer that type of relationship to you? And this is what God is offering. This is what this mind-blowing God is offering. And if He was able to do all of this that we read about in creation, and He's offering you this personal relationship now, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? When He's offering you this kind of help, and this kind of strength, this type of sustaining power, what are you waiting on? Because those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. In other words, He's saying you will make it to the end. You will make it to the end. But it's not by your might, it's not by your power. But it's by my might, by my power, by my spirit, says the Lord. It is by Him. This is what He's offering. This is what the Bible declares about those who truly grab onto this mind-blowing God. Oh, what a promise He has given us. This is the type of God I'm presenting to you today. This is what He wants. He's got some awesome things. As we go through this, we're going to look at some different stuff in the Bible, just how, when we think about it from a human standpoint, you're like, again, like, I want to get back to the place where I come. Really? Really? And I want your mind to be blown because of who God is and what He's offering. Where are musicians coming? The minister I listen to, every week, he asks his church this question. I don't ask this question every week, and I probably won't ask it every week, but I just sort of feel impressed to ask it today. Ask yourself, Holy Spirit, what are you trying to tell me? Speak to me today in the message that Pastor will tell. Surely hoping something like what I've been trying to relay to you this entire time is that God wants to blow your mind. He wants you to imagine the impossibilities that are out there that He's able to do. That He truly is the God of the impossible. There is nothing too difficult for him, Kathy. There's nothing too hard for him. What he's looking for is for a person who will trust him. Because being God, I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but also being God, he's also a gentleman type God. In other words, if you don't want something done in your life, he'll say, okay. If you don't want a blessing, if you don't want to know him more, as much as he tries, he's not going to force it on you. This is where belief comes in place. Where we have to let go and say, God, we believe. And my prayer is, as we go through this thing, that all of a sudden, a newness arises within you, a freshness arises within you. Where you say, God, here I am. Blow my mind again. I pray, that's my prayer. As we sing this song again today, my prayers throughout this thing is that God will come in and just literally begin to radically change your thinking to understand the awesomeness again and afresh of who He is. Because it doesn't matter about the past. He still controls the future. And even though the past may have seemed tough, the future can be glorious. As Charlie said this morning, the verse he used again, as he did his devotion with Romans 8:28, we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God according to His purpose. And then he goes through all of this stuff. And that whole chapter, Romans 8, talks about the awesomeness of God, what He has available to us. But we must believe in Him. So as we sing this song today, I want you to realize what God is offering you and say, Holy Spirit, what is it? What are you trying to say in my heart today? I believe one of the messages is just believe, trust, step out and say, God, as we go through this thing, begin to change my way of thinking, begin to change the way of thinking, bring freshness back to my life again, so I can stand in awe of who you are. Because again, familiarity sometimes brings. Well, how can I put this? I explained it to you earlier. Where the lack of excitement is going. And God wants you to stay excited about the relationship with Him, because with Him, every day, His mercies are made new, what? Every morning. They're made fresh every day. How many want to experience the freshness of God every day? The freshness of God every day. Let that be what we do throughout this and say, God, blow my mind. Once again, every day when I wake up, let me wake up and say, wow, God, I'm awakened another day to give you honor. Well, thank you. Just say, God, let's get back to the place where we're blown through our minds about who you are. Let me never stand these great, amen. Will you stand with me? And as we sing this song, if that's your heart's desire, say, God, once again, rock my world. Blow my mind. Give me a jet.com moment. I'm not telling you to shout there. I just want the experience of poof to happen in your life. And not just today, not just next week, but honestly to keep saying, God, I want to stay such in this way that you're blowing my. When I pick up your word, I'm like, wow. When I pray, I'm like, wow. When I come to service, my brother says, I'm like, wow. Because God, you're so awesome. Let's get to a place where God blows our lives. Where we have to be willing to move to God. That's what I desire. That's what I want. And if you want Him to radically to change your life this way again, as we go through this year of mastery, as we sing the song, step out. Let this song be your prayer. Realize it's tell Him who He is. I understand this, God. I declare you're great. Let it become afresh. Let it be fresh and new in my life. And that is you as we sing this. We step out.